So here's a little project I did that nobody needs. It's going to be useful for me, but I'm just going to make the video because there was a couple of things that I did in here I'd like to share. And you can see it's just to demo my new trailer tester. I'll show you at the end more what it does. But I needed a battery pack, and I tried a couple of different things, and ultimately I chose this one. And they're lithium ion batteries, and they're about 4 volts after you charge them and they sit. So I wanted to mount them to something, so I just used this board here, and of course the tabs are too big, so I'm going to drill out the holes so these will fit. There's not going to be any traces or anything on this, so you can see here I'm just figuring out where to drill it. And ultimately I put 4 on here, but that gives you 16 volts, and I decided, because I have a converter in the tester, and then I realized after I put it together that there's some circuits that require 12 volts and the 16 volts wouldn't work. So I'm going to have to remove one of these and just use 3 batteries, and it works great once I did that. So I'm just kind of bending the tabs over a little bit to hold them in place, and then I just solder them. So the middle ones there I just soldered together, so that completes that circuit. They're all in series, so positive to negative all the way through. And then I need a jumper across one end. That's the power out, the red and the black power out, and then the jumper at the end. So that completes that series circuit. So you'll see here, with all 4 batteries, it's 16 volts, which ultimately didn't work. So I went back and modified it. Here I'm cutting the tabs out of the bottom of the box, just so that I'd have more room. That thing could sit flush. I don't have a charger for that. I do have to pull them out and charge them individually. Now I'm drilling the holes for the LEDs. Those LED holders aren't great. I got them off of Amazon. It's hard to get anything quality off of Amazon anymore. But they're working. I just didn't like how high the LEDs stuck above the box. You can see how they stick out. I think those are 5mm LEDs, and then I use a 3mm LED for the power button, so I can see when the power's on. And here I'm just trying to find center to drill a hole for the 7-way. So the wires will go through that and into the 7-way. So usually each step I kind of make sure everything's going to fit the way it's supposed to. Making sure these wires will be long enough so I can connect them like that and then pull them back to mount it. And then here I'm putting in the switch to be able to turn it on and off. And I did a terrible job mounting this switch. Usually I drill 2 holes, the width of the switch, and then just square it out. And this one, I don't know why I did 1 hole, but it turned out pretty bad, so I'm not really happy with that or proud of it. I used a Dremel and a file to fine tune it until that switch fit in there snug. I don't like the filing part. It takes a long time. You got to sneak up on it. You can see it takes a long time, and I even sped that up quite a bit. You can see somehow I put a big scratch in the box. I wasn't happy about that either. But so here I'm just pre-drilling and screwing down the switch. So next, I usually buy multiple of these boxes because I'm going to screw something up along the way, and then I take the old ones and I use them to be able to figure out what size holes I need to drill or cut to make things fit. So I have like scrap pieces. And this is a 3mm LED, so it's a power indicator. You can see this one sits down flush. I kind of like that better. And then here we're just going to solder the power wires together into the switch. So that particular switch, the center is like your common, and then depending on which way you move the switch, the other post will become closed. So there, that's the power from the batteries going to the center post. And then that's the output power when the switch is on. So one goes to the 7-way and one goes to the LED light. And here I'm just cleaning these up a little bit with some alcohol. And one of the main reasons I made this video is because of the glue that I found. So this glue worked really well. Usually I try super glue or epoxy and they always fail for me. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but this one I thought worked great. You'll see here I give it some stress tests to see if it's going to stay together. So it has a activator that you apply to both sides. You have to let it dry for a certain amount of period. I think it said 1 minute. And then you just apply the glue to one side. I did have to cut the tabs off of that 7-way for that box. The first one I made a smaller one with smaller batteries that didn't work out. And it glued onto that box fine. But this is a little bit bigger box, so I had to cut the tabs off for it to fit. And you can see there, that didn't take very long for it to adhere to it. So now we're going to run the wires into the 7-way. And I just kind of made them all the same length. And then I'm going to put ferrules on it. That's awful small wire coming off those LEDs. They are 12-volt LEDs. There's a resistor that's already soldered in series there with the positive side, so I didn't have to modify them or anything. I bought them as 12-volt. And then with the ferrules and that small wire, I crimped them multiple times. And you see there the wires are just long enough to be able to hook up the 7-way. With the trailer wiring, you got to be careful with the black wire. On a 7-way, black wire is your 12-volt positive. I used a red wire, so you have to be careful because a red wire is also left turn. So they're two different sized wires, and that's how you determine which has to go where. And once the 7-way is mounted into the 7-way plug, then I can finish up the wiring on the inside. Here we're just connecting all the negative wires together. I just solder them together, and then I just put a piece of tape on them. Normally I would use a wire nut or something. I just want to make sure that that black wire can't touch the switch and short things out. So you have all the negatives from the LEDs, negative from the battery pack, and the negative from the 7-way. And now we can close the box up and test it and see if it works. See, the power light works. You see a little stress test there to see if that glue's holding. It's been holding up pretty good. So here I turn the power on, you can see the screen comes on, and then as I push the different buttons, you can see the lights light up. So this one's so you can check your running lights and your turn signals all at the same time. They flash at different speeds. And if you need to work on one of the 3 circuits or 4 circuits, including the backup if you have it, there's buttons to turn those on. So that's it. I made that because I took it down to work and I wanted to demo it for people, and I thought, well, it'd be a lot easier if I had a box to demo it instead of having to go out and take everybody out to a trailer and show them, which we do later on also. But that's it for that one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.